Hi, it's Lindy from Lovely Villain Designs. I wanted to show you a journal that I made this week. It's not entirely finished, but it's mostly finished. This is one that was inspired by a video that I watched by Joie on YouTube, and I will link her channel in the description below. This, for me, is a very fun type of journal. It's very unstructured. It's very don't overthink it. And it just mostly used things that I had in my stash. There's nothing in here that I made just for this journal. It's things that I had already made months ago, some things over a year ago. I believe she said that this is no-sew November, so the spine is just a piece of fabric that's wrapped, and it's not sewn. And it's reinforced with some scrapbook paper. But let me flip through and just show you what we have. Here's the cover. The paint dots, the paint pen dots around this were because I used my Distress Oxide and I was a little heavy-handed and I didn't like how it looked, so I thought, well, we need to balance it out. So the paint pen kind of balanced it out. I also had a different Hi Fudge. I also had a different butterfly on here originally and I didn't like it, so I took it off and replaced it with this one. So this is something that I have told our workshop participants, that if there's something that you don't like in your journal, you can either, I say one of three things, maybe there's more. I say you can cover it up, you can tear it out, or you can just leave it and accept the fact that your journal was made by a human and there are going to be imperfections. But this one, I was able to carefully peel off the old butterfly and put on the new one, and I think this one looks better. So let's flip through. In between, first of all, the base of this is just some brown packing paper from either Amazon, probably Amazon, or Walmart. I think it was Amazon. And that's what Joie did in her video, and it looked very doable. It looked very relaxing, and I like the look of it. I love the sound of it. I love the sound of crinkling paper, so this is really nice for that. And so that's the base of it. And then in between the packing paper, I also have some junk mail envelopes that I have covered. So I collaged on this one, and some of these, like this was a cluster that I had already done months and months ago, and I just glued it in. You'll see a lot of clusters in here. I love making clusters. I have at least, I'm pretty sure I have at least one video about making clusters, and they're not difficult, but that's one of my go-to things for when I want to do something that's short and easy, done in just a few minutes, and it makes me feel like I've accomplished something when I don't have a lot of time to get into a big project. So clusters are one of my favorite things, and I will try to remember to link that in the description box as well. The link to that video. You probably hear my cat in the background. He's upset that I'm talking to you and not to him. So I'll be there in a minute. Fudge, hang on. The other side, let's see, I'll move this over here. The other side of the junk mail envelope, I have a paper flower that I made. I made a whole batch of them, and there's several of them in here. Sewing pattern on the other side of the envelope. And again, some collage, some things that I had already made. I love this. I think this is from Witchcraft Do You Do, I'm pretty sure. They're one of my favorite sources for gorgeous printables and fun ephemera and fun sets. Let's see. This is a bigger junk mail envelope that I just covered in book pages. It was a window envelope, so this side I also covered in book pages, and I put another cluster here, and I made it into a side pocket where I have, and I don't know where I got them. It was from an old stash, I think maybe from my late aunt, I'm not sure. Some really fun old postcards from Mexico. probably is for my aunt because she visited me while I lived there. So some really nice long postcards that fit very well in this side pocket, and this one shows through the window. And I put a little cluster on the back here because there was like an ugly sticker that I wanted to cover, so that was an easy fix. This, I wish I could tell you where I got it. I think I got it, it's two parts. It's folded and it's stuck in, so you'll see the other side when we get back there. Let me make sure you're still in frame. Yeah, we're still good. This, I think, was in a box of vintage things that I got at, or maybe a bag that I got at a thrift store. And it's just like a fabric, maybe upholstery swatches. I'm not sure, but it looks pretty neat, so I put it in there. This is a pocket from an index card that Reese and I were making with paper margin, book margin strips that we rubber stamped. And there's a vintage bingo rules for playing. Some old, from when? Let me see. From 2011, a couple of old lotto tickets that are not mine because I don't play the lotto. I don't trust like that. I don't have the money to do that kind of thing. And also not mine, but this can be a collectible for some people. In this little glassine envelope, I've got a few Camel cigarette, what are they? Coupons, Camel Cash. I don't know. I decided to put those in here too, just as kind of this is my little, I'm going to call it my vice pocket. So on this side was an envelope that I had made as just like a template for something that I was doing. Here's another paper flower. And inside this pretty lacy pink envelope, we've got postcards of a really cool looking frog and a really cool looking snake from the Brookfield Zoo. So those are in there. We've got another part of a junk mail envelope that I just put some stickers on. This was from Philatelic, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, a stamp catalog from the U.S. Postal Service that I had in my stash. Those are a really good source for nice little stamp-sized images that you can include in your collages or as focal points. And Reese cuts them out mostly. He enjoys doing that. Reese cut this out with pinking shears to give it a nice stamp-like edge. Another cluster from my stash. Another, gosh, I hope I'm still in frame with everything. I apologize if I'm not. Another prototype that I made for a trifold. I've been working on designing some trifold folios. So here's one. I attached it on this side, and it folds out for some writing space, and there's a pocket with a couple of little journaling cards in there. This is something that I had made quite some time ago. It folds out with some tiny little pieces for journaling. A mushroom theme. Digging deep into my stash, I found some really nice, I believe this was a counted cross stitch pattern. I have several more, so hopefully I'll remember to use those in other projects. But this I added as a page that just kind of works as a fold out for journaling space. And then this was attached to it. It has to be counted cross stitch because it tells you what the colors are and the thread numbers. Yeah, the thread numbers. So this was attached to this, so that's in here. Another cluster. This was a birth announcement from someone that I have no idea who they were, and I don't think that it couldn't have been something that came to me because I would remember and recognize the name. So I think this was another thing that just came in a bag of vintage stuff. This was from the early 2000s. So I, not knowing the person, I covered the baby's name and all the information with just a nice image. This is a fabric strip that I put a dangle on. That's, again, something else that I had made. It was in my stash. Another junk mail envelope, window envelope, and this one, I didn't cover the white side with book pages. I just left it white, decorated it, and put a card that was another thing that was in our stash that we had made, a journaling card. So that's tucked into this side pocket. We've got a tea bag envelope here. And here's another, and I don't know if this was plastic canvas. I'm going to assume it probably was another, this was a handmade pattern for probably counted cross stitch, but it could have been plastic canvas. I don't know. But it was a really neat handmade image that I believe this was from a friend's mother, and both of whom have passed away. So I wanted to honor both of their memories and include this in our journal. Another journaling card tucked on the other side of the paper clip here. Here's the other side of the, I think it's an upholstery sampler. I just love that. Another journaling card. This folds out. So it's a little bit long, and it just kind of naturally, the way I put things on it, it just kind of naturally wanted to fold. So I let it fold. I've got a hidden paper clip, my favorite type of hidden paper clip, that is in one of the videos that we have posted. Here is an elaborate, I know this was a tutorial that Reese and I followed because we have two of them, a really nice elaborate piece that has lots of journaling tags and cards and a belly band, and it's just, I think they turned out beautifully. So when I found that in my stash of things that we did, I thought that would be a nice thing to include here. And then a vintage Merry Christmas, definitely a vintage image, a vintage piece that was in our stash. Looks like someone, maybe a child, took a colored pencil and traced around. Maybe they were tracing, it says Merry Christmas, so maybe they were tracing Santa's journey in the area. And then this side of the junk mail envelope I just covered with an invoice paper, and then I've got a couple of vertical postcards there, and then the back cover makes a little pocket, so I put a couple more really pretty postcards in there. These are some that are filled out. If I look closely, I might be able to find the year. 1988 is on that one and that one. This one says 1978, so we've got 78, 88, some nice vintage postcards that someone sent to someone. They weren't to us. They were, again, in just a bag of vintage stuff that we picked up at a thrift store. And then I reinforced the back cover with Golden Storybook vintage book cover, a little cat book. So that makes the back cover nice and sturdy. So that's what it is. I would say it's almost finished. I could stop there, and to be honest, I probably will. I might do more with this front pocket, and there's probably a few more areas where I could do a little more. This I could probably shore up, because every time I turn the pages, these things want to fall out. So maybe I'll clip them in there a little better somehow. But anyway, this one is done. It's the first journal that I've done in quite a while, since I got sick a year ago, and kind of lost my mojo for a little while. So I hope I'm getting it back. We've continued to do junk journal workshops at the Columbiana Public Library, and I loved every minute of those. And I have been doing some creative things, getting ready for those. But I've spent more time planning and organizing than I have doing the creative side of it. So it's nice to get back in doing something a little creative. So I hope my mojo will continue, and I'll feel like doing more creative things. I think I will. Um, Maybe even more so now that I've got the desk cleared off a little bit. So thank you so much for watching. Contact us if you ever have any questions. If you're in the Northeast Ohio area, we are doing workshops for small groups, and we love them. We have had a really good response from our participants. And our new website has some information about several of the workshops that we offer. Our website, I'll put that in the description box too. Gosh, don't let me forget all the things I need to put in there. And but our website is just lovelyvillaindesigns.com. It's a new site. It's still under construction, and there's still some glitches in it and some things. The formatting isn't exactly perfect, but as with junk journaling, I'm not overly concerned with perfection. I'm with the website. I'm more concerned with functionality, and I'll improve the glitches as I am able to, as I figure out how to fix them. So, thank you so much for watching. We hope you will join us for the next one. Bye bye.